Let's talk about the final step in your project's lifecycle, publication. Tip 1. Choose a license. Open science is all too often equated with accessibility, but that's a mistake. A vital part of open science is not about access, but it's about use. For others to be able to use your project, you will have to give them permission. You can do that with a license. Without a license, your project is copyrighted and others will not be able to build on it. But even if you want to give your project an open license, there are hundreds, even thousands of licenses out there. It can be difficult to choose. So here's a rough guide. If you want an open license and you have a creative project that is not functional, so it's not software or code, you can choose one of the Creative Commons licenses. Within these licenses, you can opt for specific flavors. Do you want to allow commercial use of your project? Do you want others to reshape your project and make a derivative, or is this not allowed? Do you want derivatives to be shared with the same Creative Commons license? Or simply, when you use this project, you must attribute me. That's it. If you have a software project, you can choose between a license that is copyleft and a more permissive license. Copyleft is a term coined because it's the opposite of copyright. It not only allows access and use of your project, but it requires that anyone building on the project shares their project with the same license in a pay-it-forward kind of system. Permissive licenses are the least restrictive about what a user should or should not do with your project. The MIT license, the BSD license, and Apache are examples of this. So that's what open licenses are, in a nutshell. Here is what open licenses are not. An open license does not mean that you will be forgotten. Far from it. Your work will be shared, and in sharing it, you will be attributed. When your work is shared, so is your name and recognition. Open licenses also do not forbid you from monetizing your project. If you want to make money off of your project, you can. There are many ways in which that is possible, even if you do not sell the rights to the project. An open license, in principle, does not stand in the way of commercial gain. Tip 2. Maintain your living project on GitHub. Full disclosure, GitHub and similar websites like GitLab and Bitbucket shine when used in combination with version control software such as Git. But GitHub can be used without Git, and you can benefit from the infrastructure within GitHub that facilitates collaboration and sharing. We recommend it. A project on GitHub is called a repository, or a repo for short. In a GitHub repo, both invited and uninvited guests can engage with your project, and they can collaborate. They can discuss ideas or make suggestions in issues. They can even copy the project to their own profile, where they are the boss and they make the requisite changes and propose to you that you integrate those changes in your project. You can always say no. If you do not want anyone to be able to see your project yet, GitHub allows private repos, where you can collaborate only with those that you explicitly invite. For what it's worth, we recommend sharing early. It invites collaboration. It sets the stage for a project to be shared completely and easily when it is done. A project that is shared throughout its life cycle will be cleaner, less likely to contain clutter, and subject to a few more critical eyes that may just catch a gleaming error in your methods right before you call nature. GitHub's infrastructure is much broader than a discussion platform. Primarily, it allows you to showcase your work. GitHub shows README files right off the bat, making it easier for anyone to get started in understanding your work. Even if you do not use version control software, GitHub will do that for you, and they will track your history. Finally, a new release of your projects takes nothing more than a few button clicks, and GitHub has a super highway to archiving your project on Zenodo, where you can store your project for posterity. Tip 3. Archive the project for posterity on Zenodo. Archiving is more than sharing. It is a way to ensure that there is a permanent place for your project and to ensure it can always be found there. Zenodo is an archive, and that means that everything that ends up in Zenodo will stay there forever. Fortunately, Zenodo has a sandbox environment where you can play with it without knowing that your dummy project will be archived for good. A GitHub repo can be connected to Zenodo, which makes archiving it a breeze. Releasing the project in GitHub will trigger the archive, and an updated version will end up as an updated version on your archived project. Zenodo issues a digital object identifier, a DOI, which will persistently link to your project, even if the Zenodo archive will change locations on the web. In this example project, you can also see the license and a version history. It is immediately clear if a project has been updated, but older versions remain accessible.